Sergeant and Mrs. Smith, you're going to love this house.
Is that a tub in the kitchen?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
Working moms have way too many to-dos. Switch to H&R Block and have an expert do your taxes for you. Block guarantees 100% accuracy and your max refund or your money back. And with your no-surprise guarantee, you'll always know the price of your tax prep before you begin. You can even meet with a tax pro in a Block office or online from home. So take a breath, moms. This tax season, it's better with Block. Make an appointment at hrblock.com. All tax situations are different. Not everyone gets a refund. Limitations apply. Description of benefits and details at hrblock.com/guarantees.
Joe!
Matt.
We are here at the O.Sea episode of the O.Sea.
Yeah.
Terrible pun, mind you. So this is an episode that a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, have requested, but we're doing it solo because timing's a bitch. And it's the middle of Christmas season, not the easiest time for someone to rewatch and sit down and discuss an almost 2-decade-old TV show episode. But here we are, and we're getting our prom episode. I was real rough last week. I was ready to throw in the proverbial towel and move on. I actually really liked this episode. I thought that this was for the penultimate episode of the season. I thought this was pretty good. I liked most of the stories. There was definitely things I didn't like. There were things I did not like, Joe. But for the most part, I enjoyed myself. What is your, as like the O.C. superfan, thought of the episode The O.C.?
Oh, this is a solid episode.
Yeah.
And I'm a little surprised that so many people wanted to do this one in particular. I think maybe because of like how it ends.
Is it possible, just based on what I hear about the third and fourth season, that it's the last truly feel good episode of the O.C.?
Possibly.
It seems like, from what I hear, they might start slipping from this point on. So I was excited. We kick back to find out, thank God, Kirsten's still alive. The O.C.'s body count is still a solid 0. Hopefully it'll stay that way for the next 2.5 seasons or whatever we've got left. The concept in this, so Kirsten's in the hospital. Seth shows up and he says a throwaway line where I was like, I would watch a whole episode of just that, which is that he tells Kirsten and Sandy, due to the circumstances, he's lifting the embargo on his parents not being allowed to watch any of his DVDs, and suggests Evil Dead 2. And I would watch a full 90-minute episode of the O.C. that's just Kirsten and Sandy watching Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. I think it would be delightful. And we also find out, for a show, Joe, for a show that is all about how the spoiled rich people of Newport have control over all this different stuff, and depicting the Coens as the one bastion of purity in Newport Beach. We see that the Coens are so beloved that the police are willing to bend what the drunk driving test results were to protect the Coens. And I don't know if I quite believe that. Especially because, let's be clear, if Sandy Cohen is a public defender,
Hmm.
It also probably means that he regularly makes the police look bad.
But Sandy Cohen, we love Daddy Cohen.
We
Who
do, we
doesn't
do.
love Daddy Cohen?
I'm just saying,
He's got friends in the DA's office,
if you're like, my whole thing is I'm gonna fight for the people like Ryan, like part of that involves making the police look bad. So the idea that the police are like, we just love Sandy Cohen so much, we're gonna bury this and no one will ever know that Kirsten was driving at a 2.0 alcohol level. Like,
Yeah, the nuance of the the nuance of the police politics of it all, like, what a good point, Matt. It's such a good point. It's such a good point.
yeah,
Now I'm thinking, like, well, that fails entirely.
yeah, in
Well,
any
because,
other
like,
case, they'd be
yeah.
so excited to bring this dude down a notch. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? like this would be like the dream for the police to find, is that this guy who regularly makes them look bad in court, like now they've got something on him. like
Yeah, but, like, the kind of public defending that we are meant to believe that Sandy does is, like, people against systems,
yes.
but apparently not against policing.
No, the policing, look, Joe,
And
I don't
Sandy's
know.
only defending white kids.
That's
So,
true. That's true. That is very true. Listen, Joe, when a black person shows up at Newport Beach, I'm sure he'll take care of them too. But until then, yeah,
yeah,
he's in
he'll
the clear.
escort them immediately out.
Yeah. We jump into the summer subplot where she doesn't really care for Seth or Zach at this point, but
Mhm.
she's dreamed of going to prom. I love that she refers to them as nerd and ass boy. And I actually shockingly love the conceit of this entire subplot. This whole subplot delights me, where Summer walks up to Zach and Seth and it's just like, here's the deal. I'm going to prom. One of you is taking me. I don't care which one. You two figure it out like grown-ups. I'll be waiting. This is the color of my dress. And like, it's up to them to figure it out as grown men.
Mhm.
And then you add the Reed aspect of Reed's like, hey, well, I don't love everything, as you got
Yeah.
a text message letting you know.
Yeah,
They,
I was like, you're waxing a little too a little too poetic about something that you were very angry
so something
about
did
via
happen
text.
where I yelled fuck you at my TV. And that's when they meet with Reed, and Reed tells them George Lucas wants to make an Atomic County movie. To which I wrote the following note: no, no, no. I am rejecting this. I refuse. George Lucas wants to make a movie about some dumb high schooler's comic book. Fuck you, the O.C. Seriously, go fuck yourself. like I and I do like the George Lucas aspect of this, but
Mhm.
I have been bending and twisting suspension of disbelief for the entirety of this Atomic County thing. And like you've brought up, like, hey, it's about nepotism, it's about privilege. It's like, yes, there are a lot of those things. We are now talking about a what would be a $1 million to $1 billion film production
Mhm.
based on a comic book that doesn't even have a first issue released yet, written by two high schoolers that, from all accounts, is the most bland, generic comic book like in the fucking world. No. If you told me that there was like a small independent production company that was interested, maybe.
Yeah.
George fucking Lucas, a dude
Yeah.
who's literally made two movies that weren't Star Wars movies in his entire career, is like, this is the one. This is the one. I've given up on Star Wars. I'm about ready to sell it to Disney. But you know what? This is the one I'm going to come out of retirement to work on. No, Joe, absolutely fucking not. Like, I'm not accepting this one bit.
Matt.
You tell me it's Zack Snyder, I'll say absolutely sure. George Lucas, there's no way.
I was gonna say, Matt, you ignorant slut, but no, it's actually quite you're quite the opposite of both of those things.
Yes, I'm neither a
Um
slut nor ignorant. I appreciate
yes.
that.
Here's the thing, Matt. Like, George Lucas, first of all, it's a get for the time,
Oh, a
right?
huge get.
We're living in a post episode 1
Yeah. Let me
situation.
stress, the scene where Seth is actually meeting with George Lucas is super fucking charming. Is it basically just ripping off Mallrats when they meet Stan Lee? Of course it is. But it is a very I like the charming scene there. But I love it. It's a great scene in Mallrats. It's a great scene here. Not going to shit on that. But yes, this is a huge get. I want to say this is just before Revenge of the Sith comes out. Or maybe slightly after. Maybe the prequels have all finished because this is
No, this is 2003, right?
2005. This is 2005 and Phantom Menace was 99.
2005. Okay, so
I'm pretty sure Phantom Menace was 99 and
hold
then
on.
Attack of the Clones I want to say was 2001 and Revenge of the Sith may have been 2003 because I think it was when I was in high school and this would have been airing after high school for me.
Yeah, it would have been 2005.
So
Wait, hold on. When in 2005?
I mean, this could have been literally to promote Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, it came out wide release in May 19th, 2005.
Yeah, so there we go. So
yeah, it was most likely done as a way to promote. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know who really needed the promotion in the summer of 2005 was this little herd film called Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. They needed all the help they could get, Joe. I'm glad the O.Sea graciously gave up some time on their show to help them out with that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's adorable. I think that the Seth showing up and like Zach taking Summer to prom and Seth going to the George Lucas meeting, but then them both realizing like, hey man, you want the girl and I really do want this comic book thing to work out. And them like kind of switching spots. So maybe I misunderstood this. Did Zach become prom king strictly because he was the prom queen's date? Is that how that was set up?
Well, I mean, admittedly, Zach does have a lot going for him, right?
That is true. They were like, and of course Zach I don't think they announced who the prom king was. It was just like, and the prom queen is Summer. So Zach, where are you at? And I'm like, I don't think that's how prom king and queen work. I think they're both elected positions.
I mean, the the electoral nuance of prom king and queen notwithstanding. It just makes like American television, American media sense that they come together, right?
Exactly.
So,
but it is so here's my only question though, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I like this. I like how we've gotten to Seth and Summer, that this is like kind of sealing their fate as a couple. The Zach challenges no longer face them, and is it safe for me to assume that this is them? Is this a series wrap on Zach? But more importantly, is this a series wrap on me ever having to hear the words Atomic County again?
Oh, God. I can't promise that. I don't know. About the comic book, I can't promise. The Zach stuff is most likely correct.
So there's two potential series write-offs this episode. Then we'll get to the second one soon. I didn't write a ton about the Marissa Ryan subplot. My two big things with that were like, and I'm glad that we're recording this right after I listened to last week's episode, because I do want to repeat that, like, when something happens to you, I will never blame the victim for not wanting to talk about the situation.
Yeah, for sure.
That being said, Marissa's not helping this situation by getting mad when Ryan draws the only conclusion he can possibly draw, which is that he went away and now neither his brother nor his girlfriend can look at him or talk to him or tell him anything that happened, and being like, something must have happened between the two of them, and assuming that maybe there was some cheating involved. Like it's not a great decision. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a good look, but it's like, you have to, at that point, you can't get immediately mad that you guys have given him literal cold shoulder silence and that he's jumping to a conclusion. Think? Yeah. Like, Now, what I do love, here's we're gonna go with the reverse of a compliment sandwich. My complaint, Marissa's not helping the situation. Something I love is Ryan bumping into Teresa and Teresa being the voice of reason of like, if she's telling you nothing happened and Trey's telling you something did, Trey has lied to you your entire life and Marissa has never been dishonest with you. Like, you
Yeah.
need to trust Marissa. Like, her being the voice of reason, love that. Hate the fact that there's still this Ryan Atwood baby out in the world that Ryan doesn't know about. So I guess I have to
Yeah.
ask again, is this a serious rap on Teresa
No,
and Ryan's
absolutely
baby?
not.
Okay. Because I have a feeling that I will never get a full conclusion to this storyline in the next 2 seasons. But who knows? We'll see. Maybe that's all season 3 is Ryan the papa.
Ryan dealing with the Atwood baby.
Yeah, dear Lord. I feel like that is there's something, and we'll see when we get to the end of the full show, but in my heart of
Mhm.
hearts, I really think that that storyline was something that they created thinking like, we're going to be on television for years. Like, this will pay off in the long run. And then everything started to go
Yeah, when we're
poorly.
doing season 10
Yeah,
and
and then they're like, forget it. Right? Ryan just has a baby out there that he'll never know exists.
yeah.
But hopefully I'm wrong. But that's the vibe I'm getting. But any feedback on the Ryan, Teresa, Marissa, Trey elements here?
No, I love the Teresa stuff. I thought it was like I completely forgot that she showed up.
I think you've already either you told me this or someone else told me this. I know that Marissa dies next season at the end of next season.
Yeah.
And I think both you and someone else have told me that they kind of just like add a new girl to the mix for Ryan
Yeah.
to date. And it seems like this, where I think you've said this to me before. I don't understand why you don't bring Teresa back in the
Yeah.
loss of Marissa, because every scene that they have together, they do have chemistry. Like in it, and
Oh, yeah.
she's so comforting and understanding and loving. Like, it seems like the easiest solution is you kill Marissa in season 4, you bring back Teresa, or you kill Marissa in season 3, you bring Teresa in season 4. Ryan finds out he has a kid. There's some drama about her keeping that from him for a few episodes, but then
Mhm.
like last episode they kiss, they maybe even get married, and then like Ryan goes back to Chino, but he goes back to Chino as a responsible adult raising a family from
Sure.
all of the lessons he learned living with the Coens in Newport Beach. Seems like such a beautiful way to tie a bow on the whole story, and from what I understand, they did not do that at all.
No. You need to go back in time and and shake the creators of this show and be like, "Hey, this is how you do
Yeah,
it.
this is
Don't
how
make
you
them."
fix this
Yeah.
problem that you have.
You also should go back in time and shake them and say, "Don't kill Marissa." But
I'll also go
that's
back in time and
sorry.
say 70 to 27 episode seasons is chaos. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Do shorter seasons. All right, so then the last thing we need to talk about is what's happening in the world of the parents, what everybody's tuning in for. Um, so Sandy is trying to deal with Kirsten. He's trying to curb her alcoholism,
Mhm.
which we'll get into. I've got a lot of thoughts next week about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there. But listening to Kirsten unleash on Caleb was so cathartic. When he shows up and he starts talking to her about being irresponsible and she lets him have it. And I remember as soon as that happened, I said, "Oh, homeboy's dying today. This
Yeah.
is the end of Caleb." That's and this is going to be,
Regrets.
yeah, we're going to build a whole regretful subplot. There is so that happens. Meanwhile, Julie Cooper's like, Caleb's going to divorce me. If I last a year with him, I get this much amount of money. If we don't last a year, I get nothing. And he's pushing for
Mhm.
this divorce 11 months and 28 days into our marriage. Like,
Mhm.
what can I do? And she considers killing him. Strongly
Yeah.
considers killing him. But then, as they're having a conversation by the pool, she realizes that she can't do it. She can't go through with it. She takes
Mhm.
the drink from Caleb. She dumps it into the sink to make him a new drink that's not tainted. And the way that they're going to kill Caleb is that this guy has a heart attack sitting by the pool. And like, look, I've never had a heart attack. I don't know. But
Yeah.
he seems to be aware enough of what's happening to try to call for help.
Yeah.
Get out of the pool. You're not even in the pool. Lean back. Do anything. But what he does instead is stands up and leans forward. So he had a heart attack and drowned. It was a double death for Caleb. Absolutely like I was laughing so hard, Joe. I was like, this is the most ridiculous way they could have possibly killed this old man. It's like a double death. And
Mm-hmm.
spoiler for song of the episode, because there's not that many songs in this episode. But
Okay.
Fix You by Coldplay is,
Yep.
in my opinion, the best song by Coldplay. I think it is a legitimately great song. And it was so beautifully used for this slow dance with Seth
Mm-hmm.
and Summer. And then all of that goodwill is fucking tainted when it's suddenly still being used as Julie Cooper's pulling Caleb out of the pool and trying to revive him. And I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
what a waste. What a waste of a great song. Truly,
Well,
R.I.P. Caleb, I guess. Is this a series wrap on Caleb, or does he show up as some type of Jedi ghost in the next couple episodes?
no, this is a series wrap on Caleb. I think it's because he's going to make Ugly Betty
Yeah, that'll do it.
after this. So I think Ugly Betty comes out. Yeah. I think Ugly Betty comes out after this. So he's going to go do Ugly Betty, which spoiler alert, like something similar also happens in Ugly Betty.
Working moms have way too many to-dos. Switch to H&R Block and have an expert do your taxes for you. Block guarantees 100% accuracy and your max refund or your money back. And with your no-surprise guarantee, you'll always know the price of your tax prep before you begin. You can even meet with a tax pro in a Block office or online from home. So take a breath, moms. This tax season, it's better with Block. Make an appointment at hrblock.com. All tax situations are different. Not everyone gets a refund. Limitations apply. Description of benefits and details at hrblock.com/guarantees.
This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Minty, refreshing, classic. And it's not just the Tic Tac mints. It's the new track by Kanice with beats that'll leave you feeling as refreshed as a Tic Tac and a vibe that'll take you on a ride through 100 layers of flavor. Does it get any fresher than this?
Tic Tac, enjoy the bright side. That 100-layer joyride. Pop one, let's paint the town. Freshman flavors all around. Take a ride on a Tic Tac.
Pick up a pack of Tic Tac mints today.
Meanwhile, in New Jersey...
So, Marissa, what talking points do you want to hit on in this week's episode?
Well, Jackie, let's talk about how the film addresses the patriarchy. Ooh, and representation of marginalized people. Ooh, and even philosophical ramifications of good versus evil in horror.
We can point out the triangle boobs, talk about the blood splatter, and the practical effects. And also the male gaze?
My gaze at the males.
Hi-oh! From feminism to fangirling, the Jersey Ghouls cover all the bases of horror from a woman's perspective.
New episodes are uploaded every other Sunday.
Just search Jersey Ghouls to find us on social media and your favorite podcasting app.
All right, well, Joe, I spoiled this a little bit. There was only 2 songs in this episode. Dirty Lives by Love's Laughter plays when Zach and Seth get a text from Reed to go meet her. And then, as I said, Coldplay Fix You plays at the end of this episode. I mean, that Dirty Lives song sounded pretty cool, but it has to be Fix You as the song of the episode.
It's Fix You, absolutely. And let me tell you a little bit about Fix You. Do you know the story of how Fix You came to be?
I don't know the story of how Fix You came to be, but I want you to tell me, and then I will tell you why this is my favorite Coldplay song, because it involves 2 tragic stories of performing the song Fix You.
So when Chris Martin, who's the lead man of Coldplay, he met and started dating Gwyneth Paltrow around the time that Gwyneth Paltrow's father, Bruce, had passed away. And Fix You, he wrote has it's one of like three or four songs that he wrote about Gwyneth specifically, but Fix You he wrote specifically because he wanted to like be there for her as she was still grieving like her father. And Gwyneth's mother famously is Blythe Danner, who is also like a fantastic actress. People know her from many things. She's the mom on Meet the Parents.
Okay.
She's married to Robert De Niro there. Like, there's a great story about like the first time that Chris plays that song for Blythe Danner, because it's like partially inspired by Bruce, and they like made a lot of the like organy type music from a keyboard that belonged to her father that had
Aw.
not been played since before he passed. So it's like, to me, it's oddly fitting that this is the song when like the patriarch,
He
I
of
mean,
the
granted, he
family
was an
is
asshole, but he's like, a patriarch. Also, like, I love Fix You because the first time that like, this is like the second time that it has featured so prominently in a show, and it's perfect when it's used, because the second time was in the first season of The Newsroom,
okay.
when in The Newsroom they're covering Gabby Giffords, I think her name is. They're covering Gabby Giffords's death or shooting in Arizona, and like they play the length of the song is like how long the scene is from the moment they find out that she was shot until the moment where they're like making the decisions about whether or not like she's still alive.
Gotcha.
And it's just so beautifully done. If you've not seen it, Matt, you should just watch that scene. It's not a spoiler,
All right.
because you will absolutely love how this song is used in that scene.
Perfect. So have you ever heard of a music documentary called Young at Heart?
No.
First off, you should watch it. Knowing you,
Okay.
it will shatter you in the most
Oh
beautiful
God.
of ways. It was a documentary from 2007 about the Young at Heart Choir, which was a choir I believe was in Texas, made up of entirely elderly folks from a retirement home singing
Mhm.
modern songs, but all of the modern songs had some focus on death. So it was like songs like they would do like I Want to Be Sedated, they would do like Sonic Youth songs. Throughout the documentary, they're preparing for their big yearly performance that they do. And it's following the guy who's the music director and the brainchild of this, and him talking about the struggles of doing this because you're constantly losing choir members to the natural process of death. And they call up a former member who left because he was having breathing issues and couldn't perform anymore, and asked him if he'd be willing to do the solo for their show, and he agrees to. And it's the song Fix You that he sings, but he has one of those breathing machines attached to his nose that's like pumping air because he's not able to breathe all the air
Sure.
in on his own. And it's so heartbreaking to listen to because literally the sound of the machine pulsating air into him almost plays into the tempo of their version of the song.
When you try your best, but you don't succeed. When you get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired.
It's a beautiful documentary. Now, you also know, anybody who follows any of my podcasting stuff knows that about 2 years ago, my best friend Meg passed away. And Meg and I did music all the time. And unfortunately, we were raising money for what at the time we thought was a great cause called Invisible Children, which we later found out was a giant like money laundering scheme, essentially.
Yes.
But at the time, we were like, hey, this seems like a really terrible thing. Let's do our part. So we booked a bunch of bands, and then Meg and I played second to last. And it was all this rock music in literally a gymnasium. It was like a church gymnasium we were performing in. And then Meg and I go up there with our acoustic guitar and our ukulele, and I am forever upset that this was the only show we didn't get any recording of. I would like meticulously record all of our performances. We ended our set with Fix You, and it was the last set we ever played together. So it was the last song I ever played with Meg. And like, I just remember getting chills because there was an echo in the gym when we were singing. So like, as we're harmonizing on the chorus, like it's echoing, but also everybody that was at the show was like maybe 50 or 60 people, all just sat crisscross applesauce in front of us and all sang with us. And it was just this like sound of like 60 voices all singing in harmony together, the chorus of this song. And I've never been able to really sit down and play it again because it's just not the same after you've had an experience like that. So that was like really what sealed the deal for me was this. Early Coldplay is fucking great. Like, I feel like they're a band that a lot of people kind of take a shit on, but those first like 2 or 3 albums are flawless to me. Like, they are, when you get songs like In My Head and Yellow and Trouble and Shiver and The Scientist and Everything Is Not Lost, like, seriously, check out the first 2 Coldplay albums, but Fix You specifically, my favorite song. We got to cheer ourselves up, Joe. What is some pop culture that you've been getting super stoked about? And actually, I want to go first. I want to go first on this.
Okay.
I watched the Adam Sandler movie, You Are So Not Invited to My Bar Mitzvah, on Netflix. Have you seen this?
No, I've seen the trailers. I also love that it has like Adam Sandler's real family in it.
So here's the thing about this movie. Adam Sandler is like 5th build in reality. Like, it really is focused on the girl drama, but it has so many good twists and turns. It's so sweet. And it's like, there are parts in this movie where Adam Sandler is like driving in the car with his daughter and he'll do something and you're kind of not sure if it was written in the script that way or if it's just that natural father-daughter chemistry where he's like, oh, I'm going to fuck with her a little bit to make her laugh or to make her like have the reaction I want to. It's really sweet. And like, in this long, I feel like we are hopefully about to see more of this version of Adam Sandler. Like, I think the last 10 years we've dealt with like Jack and Jill and That's My Boy and all of these like awful Netflix movies. But I think after Uncut Gems and the positive reaction that Uncut Gems gave him, like, the last 2 things he's done for Netflix have been really kind of sweet. Like, this was just a sweet family PG-13 movie. He also did an animated film that came out recently called Leo. That's also very sweet. I'm for this. I'm for family comedy Adam Sandler where it doesn't, like, the problem was like stuff like Grown Ups was trying to be a family movie while also trying to capture the like Billy Madison Waterboy days of Adam Sandler, and it creates this really uncomfortable blend of like, this is aggressively sexual humor mixed into what's just supposed to be like a fun family vacation movie or whatever. Like, I like seeing him take on these roles where he's not the goofy immature dad, he's just like the stressed out dad, and he gets to do a little bit more dramatic acting. It's not nearly to that Uncut Gems level of dramatic acting, but like, oh, this is like the best comparison I can come up with is Wedding Singer. I think Wedding Singer is the greatest film that Adam Sandler has ever done because he's, as much as he's doing the Adam Sandler shtick where he's screaming and yelling, it's probably the number one Adam Sandler movie where he is a truly believable romantic lead. Like, his character of Robbie Hart is so kind and loving and like human, like genuinely human, and not like this trapped in like a 17-year-old mentality type character. And I think he's finally like doing his 40 and 50-year-old version of that, where it's like he can do the like, oh, like Adam Sandler yell or whatever, but at the core it's a good loving character. So I'm really interested to see what comes next, because You Are So Not Invited to My Bar Mitzvah is probably the best Adam Sandler produced project in ever. Honestly, like ever since Happy Madison was created, this is the best Happy Madison made film in 20 years of that company existing. So, highly recommend. Highly recommend. It's a great watch.
I will have to add it to. I'll have to add it to my list because it is. It's something that I saw. I'm like, oh, this looks cute. You know, this will be a when I get to it kind of thing. So maybe it'll.
It feels like it should, and maybe it is. It feels like it's based on a YA novel. It probably is, honestly, but it's
Sure.
very much got that. Hey, we've adapted a YA novel into a PG-13 family film feeling.
Yeah.
Like, all right, your turn, Spike.
So over the Thanksgiving break, I watched just a lot of TV, and I realized that I had not seen the second season of Bridgerton after the first season of Bridgerton.
Ooh.
So I rewatched the first season of Bridgerton, then watched for the first time the second season, and then proceeded to do what my pop culture moment is today, the limited series in the Bridgerton universe, Queen Charlotte.
Yeah. So I have not watched Queen Charlotte, but I've watched the first 2 seasons of Bridgerton.
It is wonderful. I think it's a very interesting, like it's saying some interesting things about mental health. It plays with like literal history, right? Like Charlotte was literally the Queen of England. The racial aspect of it is addressed more. Like the interesting things about race are addressed a lot more because of the marriage between Charlotte and George. I had to look it up because it's George. It's the King George that like lost the colonies.
Oh.
So it's like, oh, it's that's the correct King George. So it's the King George who loses the colonies, but and then it like plunged me into a little bit of like I thought like I know the Regency era, which is where Bridgerton is set, is like a very specific time period, but like the Regency was created because King George was incapacitated due to his, quote unquote madness. But they deal with the mental health aspects of it. And like some of the minor characters in Bridgerton are being put front and center in Queen Charlotte in a way that like just doesn't take anything away, but adds a depth to it. And there is one like towards the end of the series, and I'm not going to spoil it because I want you to watch it. One of the like big figures, like the main characters in Bridgerton, whose younger version who is talked about, Lady Danbury, she gets a twist. Something happens with her and with another character, and like it kind of blows. Like I was like, what? Why are we talking about this here in Queen Charlotte when we need to be talking about this, and how is this going to affect everything in the main series? So like that like blew my mind. I was just like, oh, what? I was so taken aback by it. And of course it's like it does everything that the Bridgerton series does really well in terms of like, a lot of court intrigue, a lot of sexy horniness. I loved it, and I'm drinking tea, and I don't know. This is the time of year where like most of what I consume is just like very British. Like it's The Crown, it's Bridgerton, I'm gonna rewatch Harry Potter in a little bit.
Great British Baking Show.
British Baking Show. Just it's all very British, but Queen Charlotte by far, because I've forgotten that it came out like this year. It came out in like May.
We're right at that point where people like you and I feel obligated to start building our like, well, what were the best 10 of these things of the year?
Yep.
And you're realizing what shit came out in the beginning of the year that you thought came out 2 or 3 years ago now, because time is so baffling.
Because I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm trying to do, like, I want to do, like, a top 5 list of, like, queer moments in culture, but now it's turning into, like, a top 25 because there are just, like, so many, like, I wanted to do, like, TV, movies, and the like, but it's so
Joe,
It's so much deeper than that.
I am begging you. At the time that we're recording this, we just did the Geekscape Holiday live stream event. I will give you an hour next year to do the top 10 queer moments of 2023. It can be with Joshua. It can be with literally any other queer co-host of any other Geekscape podcast that you want to grab. But like, I would love to produce that segment for 2024. I think that would be so much fun. And I'm telling you this now so that throughout the year,
I can keep track.
You can keep track of the moments and kind of
Got it.
And actually think about them from the way that your boys at Los Costaristas do. Literally track them by like how much of an impact did this moment make on society as a whole over the year as well.
God.
You know what I mean? Like you can clock it when it happens and write it down in your like Word doc or whatever. But as like it permeates the culture in general throughout the year, be like, oop, this is sliding up a few spots on my list now because like it's been referenced at these many award shows or whatever.
Hold on, I'm already creating the notes app. Queer moments of 2024.
Oh, I'm so excited. That's gonna be, man. This is an insane...
Look at you producing next year's show already.
Well, I was gonna say this is an insane thing to say, but I'm already so excited. Well, because next year's the 5th year, man. We've got to go all out for year 5. But yeah, I mean, we finished year 4, and I was like, I am so ready for year 5. I'm ready. I'm ready. But you know what I'm not ready for, Joe? The end of season 2 of the O.Sea. So stay tuned next week when we talk about the season finale of the O.Sea season 2.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.